Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? This weather's good, huh? Thank you guys so much for having me speak here today. It's an honor to be here. Thank you to the Creative Mornings staff. I'm really excited to do this. And thanks to Butler University for donating this amazing venue for this talk. So thank you. My name is Bill Skaggs, and I am the Creative Managing Director of IndieProv. And if you don't know what IndieProv is, first off, let me tell you that, hold on. It's IndieProv, not Indie Improv. A lot of people say Indie Improv, but it is IndieProv. It's just a pet peeve of mine. And we are Indie's only Emmy-nominated improvisational comedy troupe. But what we do is a lot more than just comedy. We have a lot of different facets to our organization. We're a little bit more complicated than just your average run-of-the-day improv troupe. I got started a long time ago in being weird. I grew up as a really weird, creative, awkward child. That's me. I am not in a cult. I was our school mascot. And I really embraced that word weird. It was something that was really special to me. And I went to college in sort of a rural area, and I decided I just wanted to kind of fit in and just be normal. And that didn't really work for me very well. So I really didn't get back on my weird track until my first professional job here in Indianapolis at Nuvo News Weekly, which is an amazing publication. And somebody just mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but the Keep Austin Weird or something. But yeah, we adopted that slogan. It was very short-lived, Keep Indy Weird. And basically this program that they were doing in Portland and in Austin was just to highlight really cool things that were going on in the city. It was just kind of a fun way to call it weird. And I continue to do some really weird stuff at Nuvo. I was a judge at an event called Nudes A Poppin'. Yeah, which is a pageant for naked people. Yeah, I got to have drinks with this really famous boy band from the UK that nobody knows here. So I got to do a lot of fun stuff at Nuvo. So back in about 2002, I was seeing a movie at the Key Cinemas, which is now closed. Some little art film, I'm not sure what. But there was a flyer on the wall for a comedy class, and my friend was with me, and she was like, "We have to take this. You're so funny." And I said, "Absolutely not. There's no way I'm going to do this." And so after she found out that she could get a discount if she signed up someone else, I reluctantly signed up. And I'm so glad that I did, because it literally changed. It literally changed my life. And through that 8-week class, I bonded with these 11 other students. And at the end of the class, we had a showcase for our friends and family. And we were wondering, what are we going to do after this? And what happened was pretty amazing. Our instructor was David Brunholer. And I'm sorry for the quality of these photos. Like, it's literally, I had to look back at like 2002 for photos. So this is David. And David has been an amazing mentor and friend to everyone at IndieProv. And so after our first level 1 class, we were like, what do we do now? We don't really know what to do. David encouraged us to take his level 2 class because he wanted to make more money off of all of us. But he also wanted us to bond, and that's something that's really important in the improv community, is bonding as a community. And so we did that, and after level 2, we were like, great, this is amazing. What do we do now? Well, after that, IndieProv was born, and I'm, again, really sorry for the quality of that. That looks awful. And I did design that, and I'm ashamed of it, by the way. So IndieProv was born. We were a comedy troupe with no stage. Makes sense, right? So a few weeks later, David just hit the pavement, and finally he found us a gig at the Funny Bone up north, which is now closed. And this is a trend. We keep closing businesses as we go along. But it was a very successful 8-month run we had at the Funny Bone, and it gave us the confidence to know that we can do this. And so after they closed, we decided we need to create sort of a network of different venues, because any business can close or decide not to have us back if they don't like our act. So we decided that we were going to start hitting the pavement and asking everyone, can we please perform there, begging them basically. And we got a lot of no's. But our first yes was Talbot Street Nightclub, which is now closed. Yeah. And Talbot had a really great name within the entertainment community here. So it gave us leverage to be able to add other really great venues to our docket. But this was more than just a show. This was an opportunity for us. And it was an opportunity for us to kind of make our place within the arts community. Now, around 2003, the comedy market was really weird. It was very fragmented. Stand-up was very competitive, and still is. And improv was just a really small blip on the screen. The only really game in town was Comedy Sports, which, if you're ever on Mass Ave, check them out. They're amazing at what they do. And there just really wasn't a huge comedy market. There wasn't really anything going on. And so I think the one reason for that was these little improv groups or comedy troupes would pop up, and there was no one main vision for their organization. Most of them are group run. And when we started IndieProv, it was a group run organization. And in 2005, we decided to become a one mission organization. So the troupe got together and they elected me as sort of their leader. I think it was because I have a marketing and public relations background, and I thought, he can run a business. I think it was because I had no social life and they knew I had time for it, but that's another thing. So we have one vision for our organization now. And so that was really one of the first big changes. So we got together, we wrote a mission statement, we put together some values that we wanted to incorporate within our organization. And in 2006, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who said, I have a friend who works at Lilly, and he is having problems on his staff with public speaking and communication. I was like, okay. And he was like, I think improv can help that. And I was like, all right, great, let's do it. And I hung up the phone, and I started researching immediately because I had no idea what he was talking about. I didn't know that improv troupes could do anything other than just make people laugh in seedy bars. And so I started researching and looking at all these different curriculums and different educational models in corporate training. And we got that gig at Lilly. It was our very first corporate gig. It was a 6-hour training, and we prepared for about 2 hours of it. But it really taught us something. It really taught us that we have a really valuable product. And it gave us our first opportunity. And I'll talk a little bit more later about some untapped markets, but this was our first untapped market that we found. And it's really interesting. It wasn't until 2010 when, I'm going to jump around this timeline too, sorry if I'm confusing you. It wasn't until 2010 that I was on a call with a very well-known Indiana company, and we were having a great conversation, and at the end of the conversation, or the phone call, it's always the same kind of question, how much is this going to cost me? And so I told the lady on the line how much it was, and there was a huge pause. And she said, is that for everyone individually or the entire group? And I said, that's for the entire group. She was like, all right, great, let's do this. And with most trainings, we give them tickets to a show. Because I like to do performances before trainings, because sometimes, especially in corporate environments, people need to be lubed up a little bit before they are trained. And so if we get in front of them and we look stupid first, they're a little bit more easily to look stupid as well. So she calls me a week later and says, I can't with good conscience pay you for this. I need to pay you more, basically is what she said. And when is that ever going to happen to anyone? I didn't know what to say. I'm still flabbergasted thinking about it. I never in my life will probably ever have a client say, I'd like to pay more for your product. But it gave us another opportunity. It gave us an opportunity to reevaluate our product. And I'm happy to say we're making a lot more money now because we've done so. And a lot less people are batting an eyelash at the fact that we charge a little bit more for this process because they see a value in it. They get something out of it, which is really amazing. So this is about weird. I'm going to change subjects just a little bit, but let's get weird. This is Jujubee, and woo if you want, yeah. She is the drag queen that changed my life, although this is how I know her. That's typical Jujubee, lying on the floor, drunk, crying. But she literally changed my life, and I'll tell you why. So back, I think 2010, I was doing a fundraiser for a local theater group, and they had some fundraiser centered around drag. And the director of the board said, how can I make $10,000 in one night? And I said, charge $1,000 a ticket. And they didn't think that was funny. So I said, well, you need a famous drag queen. And there's this little show called RuPaul's Drag Race. And if you're not familiar with it, oh yeah, some fans? Great. So we booked Jujubee to be at this event. And that night we made $10,000. We made over $10,000. So I said before I was going to talk about some untapped markets. Well, this is an untapped market. There was nobody in Indiana booking these girls, and there's over 100 of them that have been on the show. They're traveling the world doing drag, and no one in Indiana was doing it. And the reason why I say she changed my life is because I was able to quit my full-time job and focus on IndieProv full-time because of these girls. So we were bringing them in every month and forcing them to play improv games with us to further our brand. And it's offered me some really interesting, fun stuff to do. Last night, the newest season premiered, and I actually got to ghostwrite for an episode. So my jokes were on TV last night, which was really cool. And some other weird things. This audience, the people that love this show, that have a weird cult following. I've seen grown men cry meeting these drag queens. So it's been really, really weird. And that's all great for us. I kind of want to get back to our core values. And so the first thing that we thought of was, how can we get involved in the community? And we do offer all these great events, all these comedy and drag events that are fun for the community. But how can we give back to the community? And in 2007, we started an event called Laugh-a-thon, which raised money for 12 different charities for 12 different hours. Yeah, it's a 12-hour improv show. That was stupid. But it was really great. We raised over $50,000 for other charities, and it gave us an opportunity to open our audience more. So these nonprofits were coming to support each other and asking us, can we do a charity show as well? We don't do Laugh-a-thon anymore, but we never turned down a charity show. And it's something that's really important for us, is to give back to the community. Something else that we offer is education, and it's another part of our core values. I think this is that's our last level 1 class right there. Our classes are really popular. Most of them have a waiting list. And I think the reason for that is we keep changing our current educational model. A few years ago, I went to Chicago to see an improv show. If you're not aware, Chicago is like the hotbed of improv, kind of like Kentucky is the hotbed of cheerleading. And that was a really bad joke, guys. I'm sorry. Trying here. So I noticed that I looked around and I saw the audience, and it was 80% students. And I thought, this is another untapped market. We have all these students, and we're not inviting them to shows. So we started doing orientations with them. We gave them an ID card saying, here's an ID card. Come to every single show for free. But more than that, bond as a community. Get together and talk to each other. And we saw a few things happen. One, we saw our audiences grow, which is great because you don't really want to perform in front of 4 people. And the other thing is that they were bonding. They were going out and after class talking about what they learned, what they liked about the class, what they liked about the instructor, what they didn't like about the instructor. And it was changing their dynamics on stage. It was changing the way that they performed. And it was a pretty amazing opportunity for these young people to kind of go through and build their own community. And that's what we hope to see the future of IndieProv be. Finally, one day when we have our own space, is basically create a hub for all these students so that they can share and talk about comedy. Education, like I've been saying, is really important to us, but not just for adults. We also have some programs that we do for youth. We have several programs right now in IPS that are very popular with youth. A few years ago, we started a program at the Mary Red Community Center, and it teaches kids how to use improv to combat bullying. And then just last year, we started a new program with the Indiana Autism Society that uses improv to help strengthen communication between autistic youth and their caregivers. Improv has become so powerful to me, and it's funny that I got that call back in 2005 from Lily saying, improv can help change communication and conflict resolution. this sounds a little dramatic, but I've actually seen it change people's lives, which is really amazing. I know I taught this one student, and he was so afraid of looking stupid. And I told him, there is nothing interesting about good-looking people doing well. That's not where comedy comes from. It comes from embracing your inner weirdo. And if you can embrace your inner weirdo, you open yourself up to all these different possibilities. And I've seen this student grow from this shy, bullied, homeschooled kid into this amazing performer who's dynamic on stage, who's created a network of friend and support through improv. And so those are the times that I'm like, wow, this is really, really powerful. So getting back to untapped markets, I was looking for another one just a few years ago, and there was one right underneath my nose, which is comedy. As far as I knew, we never had a comedy festival here in Indianapolis. And so last year we started the Crossroads Comedy Festival, which is a 3-day comedy festival for stand-up, improv, sketch, and podcast here in Indianapolis. It features over 100 different artists all over the world. And we went back to our core values with putting this festival together, which is education and community involvement. So with the educational portion of it, we have workshops for the attendees that are here, put on by our headliners. And for the community involvement portion, we always have a charity show at the end of our festival to give back to the community. This year we're working with the Indianapolis Zoo to do an event called Stand Up for Sharks, which is a shark preservation charity, which is really exciting. Here's some of our audiences and a puppet workshop that we did last year. So now that you kind of know about what IndieProv does and kind of my background, I'm going to give you guys some, and I'm not even charging, some training on improv. And these are things that you guys can take away from this and use in your personal or professional life. So there are rules to improv. Most people think we don't rehearse and we don't follow rules, but rule following is very important in improv. The first rule is yes and. And this word yes can change your life. I know it sounds really, really corny, but saying yes opens yourself up to so many things. And yes is important, but and is just as important as the yes. What the and does is it heightens the yes. So in improv, when you're in a scene, if you say no, you put up a wall. And it kind of makes you have to start over. Saying yes, you accept that person's gift. You take it on yourself. So if an improviser said, I like your shoes, another improviser could respond with, yes, and I stole them from your closet. So yes is really important. And if you can use yes a lot in your professional life, it really opens yourself up. People like to work with you more if you say yes. I know in my last job, I had a lot of no's from certain departments, and it just kind of felt like, I don't really want to work with them. They're just going to say no. So you can say yes at work. You can say yes but not in improv. You say yes and in improv. So the second rule is to make statements. And usually this rule is to not ask questions, but I've changed it to make statements so that you guys can apply it kind of to your everyday life. And so here's an example. If someone upsets you or makes you angry, your first idea is to challenge it, to question why did this happen? Well, in improv, if you ask a question, it puts all the work back on the other person. In your personal life, when you ask a question, it just kind of opens up a net. You can really just throw anything in there. So making statements, and it's kind of like those age-old I feel statements, instead of asking a question, why did you steal my shoes, you can say, it makes me feel uncomfortable, or it makes me mad that you stole my shoes. So making statements can help conflict resolution more. And the last rule is support, and this is the most important rule. You can apply this to everything. When you are in a team and you're making everyone else look like a star, everybody is a star. With improv, it's really different than, like, say, stand-up, who they're relying on themselves to make them look like a star. In improv, it's my job to make you look like a star. And so if you can apply that to work or personal life, when everyone is making everyone else look like a star, it's win-win. And so support, for me, is more than just high-fiving. And it's, believe me, I've seen it with stand-ups around improv people. They're like so annoyed by us because we're totally like high-fiving and, yeah, you're amazing. And they're rolling their eyes and drinking a beer. But support is really important. Go out and support the things that you believe in. No one's going to do it for you. You have to support yourself. So I'm going to leave you guys on a quote, since we did talk about my involvement in drag culture. there is a quote that I really liked, and I wish I would have known that back when I was taking, before I took that class. And it's a quote from RuPaul, and it is, what other people think of you is none of your business. And I really wish I would have known that, because I would have had so much more confidence going into that level 1 class. If I didn't take that chance, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, and I wouldn't be talking to you guys about something that I feel really, really passionate in. So my last piece of advice is to keep being weird, keep indie weird, and keep yourselves weird. Thank you guys.